This year's National Day Parade is set to feature the largest and most diverse mobile column ever. But how does this showcase of military vehicles and other hardware stack up against those of the past? And what role does it have at home and abroad? John Leong finds out in this week's Spotlight.
The year was 1969, 4 years after Singapore gained nationhood. A year Singapore saw communal riots and some of the worst flooding in the country. But it was also the year the new state showcased its military might in full for the first time on National Day.
Those days was quite important because we had just 4 years after independence, and there was tension, and there was a lot of interference from other nations, you see. And we were ordered by the Prime Minister then, through MINDEF, that put all the 18 tanks on parade to show the strength. And that was the confidence to show to the people that we are ready to defend them.
Retired Colonel Goh was a young officer in the army when he stood astride one of 18 AMX-13 tanks. And the view was stunning.
We saw the crowd, we saw Singaporean, independent. Not like those days under the British or Malaysian days. Now we were residents of Singapore, so we couldn't be proud as we were proud, and we represented them. And when they clapped the cheer, oh, we were so motivated by the public, and we felt so great that we would like to defend them, Singapore, at all costs.
The hardy AMX-13s would go on to become mainstays of national defense. But while the hardware remained unchanged for many years, the faces behind it did. In 1995, a young Lim Teck Yin was chosen to lead that year's mobile column. Now he's better known for his work as Chief Executive Officer of Sports Singapore.
I don't remember rushing to call home, obviously, because when you call home in news like this, it means that you're not going to be home very much. But I certainly remember feeling a great sense of pride.
It was a fitting appointment for a man intrinsically linked to Singapore's commitment to its sovereignty.
Mobile Column Commander, Senior Armour Officer Lieutenant Colonel Lim Teck Yin, who's by the way the grandson of Lim Bo Seng, man who was part of Singapore's struggle for freedom.
I remember vividly the type of cheers that you get and the gasps that you get when they look at the hardware that's on display. That really gives them a sense that the government has invested consistently over the years to ensure Singapore's defense and security. It was the same reactions that we got as we moved down the streets into the heartlands. In the experience of a lifetime, as you roll down, you see a crowd just in front of you, and then you see the crowd starting to build up down the street. You know, and I remember constantly talking to my driver of the tank and said, okay, you know, watch very carefully when we're going to turn very carefully. There are a lot of people that are on the curbs, but it was inspiring.
Further back in that same mobile column was one of Mr. Lim's charges. Dr. Graham Ong Webb was serving his national service at the time with the 46th Singapore Armoured Regiment. He went on to work at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, specializing in defense issues. One of his pet topics? Mobile columns.
In regards to the mobile column, at least, it's just basically to instill confidence among Singaporeans that we can keep Singapore safe, and also that these capabilities can be twinned and used to the benefit of our neighbours as well. And we've seen this over the last 2 decades in the least, where Singapore has contributed significantly to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations, the latest in Nepal, for example, to actually be a greater force of good. And these military capabilities are also unveiled in a mobile column to articulate that.
While mobile columns are firm Singapore favourites, other, more scrutinizing eyes also pay attention.
All countries, this is not unique to Singapore, have security considerations to think about what they can and should not show. So in this case, like in any other case, whenever we've had any mobile columns in the past, we've had a great many. It's carefully thought out in order to communicate the right things and not to create any misunderstanding.
This year's mobile column is slated as the biggest and most diverse to mark Singapore's Golden Jubilee. 26 platforms will debut on the 9th of August, and they include the Leopard 2 armoured engineer vehicle designed to clear obstacles for army forces, It's equipped with a remotely controlled 0.5-inch heavy machine gun. There's also the Leopard 2SG main battle tank, an upgrade on an earlier model. It features a battlefield management system, which is capable of tracking friendly forces and marking enemy targets. Plus the protected response vehicle, also called the Peacekeeper, developed locally and designed to support servicemen carrying out island defense operations.
This right here is called a Peacekeeper, and it boasts some truly stunning technological capabilities. Most impressive of all is a gun cradle that can handle 3 different types of guns: a 7.62mm machine gun, a 12.7mm heavy machine gun, and a 40mm automatic grenade launcher. Now all this is controlled remotely from within that cabin over there. And what this means, of course, is that the Peacekeeper is equipped to handle a whole host of different threats.
These platforms make up part of 177 assets from the Singapore Armed Forces and the Home Team. On National Day, the vehicles will rumble down Nickel Highway, converge on Beach Road, and then roll past the Padang via St. Andrews Road. They'll then split, with one section returning to its holding area and the other tracing what's called a celebration trail. That will take the vehicles past iconic landmarks along the Singapore skyline.
So the mobile column is about to go through a rehearsal, and I just want to give you a sense of how long this year's column is. Now if you look 200 meters ahead of me, that's where the head of the column sits, right at the junction of Nickel Highway and Rochor Road. Now the tail end of the column goes all the way back to where the concourse is, and this is when all these vehicles are packed tightly together. Once they fan out and form an actual column, that will stretch for about 2 kilometers. In fact, the entire procession will take 15 minutes. And as you can probably hear, these guys make plenty of noise as well, so you'll be able to hear them coming from way out.
This year's mobile column will be led by Lieutenant Colonel Lim Kar Keng. But the segment isn't entirely new to the commanding officer of the Armoured Battle Group Training Centre. He'd been the organising secretary in 2005 before taking the chair in 2010.
It was a great experience just to see everyone, all the Singaporeans coming together and putting up the shows with the fireworks, and it was just a fantastic experience. And of course the ambience and the atmosphere is just totally charged up, and that really feels good that to be a Singaporean, and that reminds you of what it means to be a Singaporean.
5 years and months of grueling rehearsals later, Lieutenant Colonel Lim is raring to go once again.
In 2015, with the kind of the new machineries that we have and the kind of training that we have to build our troops to be ready to defend, I think we have really come a long way. And I think this is what going down St. Andrews Road in 2015 will mean to me, and what I will look forward to.